On a local level, in Israel-Palestine activism, take the good with the bad, I'm really excited about the promise and potential in this upcoming National Day of Action at the ports this weekend. It's evidently the product of a lot of work and meeting and building between activist organisers and trade unions in Australia. Seriously, none of us should downplay the significance of a National Day of Action that includes large Australian unions, as evidenced by the speaking roles in Melbourne of the CFMEU National Secretary Christy Kane and MUA Assistant Branch Secretary Aaron Moon. It obviously took a lot of work to get here and a bit of repair from some earlier fractures and disagreements, and yeah, I admire whoever managed to get this monumental task started. Whoever helps us snowball the anti-genocide push and pressure in this country is doing us all a solid. They're doing Palestinians a solid. But I also like it because bringing more of the union movement on board makes this absolute jellyfish show more of his big shining red baboon arse. This big fucking jellyfish baboon goose wearing an Amel and the Sniffers shirt, this one here. This moment is an exercise in contradiction, isn't it? Because at the same time, this shit has also been happening.
Come on.
Wait, Damon, go.
This is Zionist vigilantes attacking Australian student encampments. Students demanding that their universities divest from partnerships with Zionist interests like arms manufacturers while, there's a fucking genocide going on. And this is honestly the most ambiently fascist shit I have seen in Australia for many years. It's not merely the fact that they're being attacked. Minor political violence happens in grassroots Australian politics all the time, doesn't it? It's the fact that there is no political, media or institutional interest in the fact that this is happening whatsoever. It's happened completely unchecked. Nobody with a shred of power seems to actually give a fuck that vigilantes are unilaterally attacking these students who are peacefully protesting. It's astounding. And I don't know who you blame. I mean, obviously the vigilantes themselves, sure. Let's find them. Let's out them. Obviously the lobbyists and scumbags and shitheads propelling them forward. Yeah, sure. But I reckon the buck stops with Baboon Jellyfish Goose guy, because here's what he cares about instead.
On the issue of the river to the sea, Dennis Richardson again described it as an extremely violent statement. And so it has no place on our streets.
I agree. Well, it is a slogan that calls for opposition to a two-state solution.
That's the trend among the political establishment. It's all about, and this is the left and right approach, bad and evil chants and slogans that are probably secretly bad and evil if you don't ever ask the people chanting and you make your own meaning up, sure. Now, I don't want to waste time on things like the from the river to the sea slogan and these other disingenuous arguments by the political establishment, but I feel like I kind of have to quickly, despite it being definitely a waste of your time and mine. Securing Palestinian freedom along its old pre-occupation borders stretching from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea does not necessitate the extermination of people who are Jewish currently living there. It specifically means Palestinians will be free, like it says in it. Freedom in this context doesn't mean the murder of everyone else standing on the same plot of land with you, wearing a different hat to you. That's kind of the colonizer's definition of freedom, I think. I'm sure you can find people who are for wholesale Jewish extermination. In fact, I know you can. Better than most of the people currently howling about anti-Semitism on campuses and such. Because unlike most of them, I have spent years organising against those people for years in my anti-fascist work. We call those people anti-Semites. You have to ask the person what they mean. If an anti-Zionist person tells you that's not what they seek, that they don't seek Jewish annihilation, but rather simply freedom for all Palestinians, then there you go. They're not anti-Semites. They're looking for something else. Intifada is a bit more simple. What's Doing Media, always an excellent creator of videos on the political fringe in Australia, recently captured some genius at a Zionist rally in Melbourne who thought, generally speaking, that it meant some bad terrorist thing.
We've got people calling for Antifada only a few hundred metres away, which I think so many people in the West have got no idea what that means. Just a quick review.
Do you know what it means?
Well, it's a call for conquest.
Is that the definition?
What is the definition?
It means uprising. Case in point, if you haven't heard of this already, the US Holocaust Memorial Museum's Arabic readings refer to the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising as the Warsaw Ghetto Intifada. It isn't inherently anti-Semitic to do an uprising either. And as to these amorphous anti-Semitism sentiments surrounding harm and icky feelings, well, look, Jewish people are there in those encampments. They help organise, speak, they run the fucking thing sometimes. They're not in danger, and they're doing fine. So obviously, it isn't anything in their inherent Jewishness that is making them either welcome or, as the case may be, feel unsafe. Therefore, the feelings of unsafety must stem from these people's differing political opinions about the occupation and ongoing genocide. I myself can feel unsafe if I were to walk through the middle of a rally full of my political opponents who I don't like and who don't like me. But that's not racism.
Come and help me, please. Recep. I feel unsafe. Can you come and help me? Could you please come and help me, Recep? I feel unsafe and I'm afraid.
I need help. I know that, but they're surrounding me. They won't let me move.
No, you are free to move. You are free to move. She is free to move.
You are free to move. You are free to move. They're surrounding me right now.
She's free to move. She's free to leave. She is free to leave. No.
When you were pushing me and yelling at me, that wasn't nice, right?
Police! Police! Help! Help!
Guys, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Example. Ladies and gentlemen, live, right here.
Abraham Edwards runs one of my favourite local blogs on Australia's response to Israel-Palestine specifically. He's documented some of Albanese's spineless, amoral flip-flopping on the river to the sea slogan. He documents how at one moment our PM performs for Josh Frydenberg and the Sky News cameras by saying that the slogan from the river to the sea is violent.
On the issue of the river to the sea, Dennis Richardson again described it as an extremely violent statement. And so it has no place on our streets.
I agree.
But then he had to tone himself down a little because one of his own senators, Fatima Payman, used the slogan, putting him in a bit of a bind.
That the voices calling for freedom and for justice were heard. I ask you to join me to continue to call for freedom from the occupation, freedom from the violence, and freedom from the inequality. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
So then he just goes on to say it's inappropriate. Of course, Dutton and the Zionist maniacs in Labor and every other fucking animal in Australian politics wants Senator Payman to be punished for that, to lose her job. At least in that, Dutton has a political position on Palestine. He does. He has elected to become a foaming at the mouth Zionist shill, running cover for a genocide, defending it, in fact. That's not a good position. It's probably a position that someone, if they were in power, should be sent to the ICC for, sure. But it is a firm position. And it's a position that I expect from him. I expect no more from him than that. Just like I expect Alex Ripchen from the Executive Council for Australian Jewry to tout that position, and David Adler from the AJA, and a host of other fucking maniacs. That's their job. That's where they've arrived. But the problem with Labor is that they don't really have a position. Albanese wouldn't even mention the word ceasefire until an overwhelming centre-left consensus crept far enough toward it that he felt it was safe to mutter, trailing the end of the pack. He won't make decisions to expel Israeli diplomats or cut ties with them. He won't condemn Israel in strong terms. He won't stick his neck out at all. And he's leaking support from the left for it. And he's clearly prepared to die on this hill. So he's just sitting there jellyfishing it up, hiding from the daily protest encampments outside his own office by secretly changing where he goes to work, hiding his big shining baboon arse from them, flopping his jellyfish back about, lolling his goose neck around. So I figure it must be easier to bang on about slogans and to snipe at these pest activists than to continue to hide from frank questioning about Israel, hey? Meanwhile, fascist vigilantes attack kids. And I'm not trying to do one of those US Dems propaganda account Facebook things with you of going, fascism is on the rise, it can happen here. But there's a reason that this vigilante violence is going on. Do you remember back when the CFMEU facade got attacked by cookers in 2022? You know, it wasn't dumb bad luck that meant the most terrifying union in Australia was all of a sudden under attack by daydreamers who thought that the Chab was a Chinese bioweapon. It happened because of John Setker's inaction and fear of taking a firm action or firm political position over mandates for workers that made CFMEU suddenly a big target for cooker vigilantes. They rushed in to fill the void left by the inaction of the union's leadership. Same thing here. Gramsci is right in his observation of the Italian fascist uprising. It's this centre-left leader's spinelessness that creates the fertile conditions for an ambient climate conducive to grassroots fascist action. This is what left cowardice begets. Albanese is so thoroughly battered about by all this chipping away at his little rep he'd managed to cultivate of, cool Labor dad wearing an Amel and the Sniffers shirt, that now he's taken to repeating redundant boomerisms about left activists.
I reckon if you asked those people chanting it, heaps of them wouldn't have a clue, wouldn't be able to find the Jordan on a map. And, this is a complex issue, but the sort of slogans which are being used...
How does a man go from this...
Children throwing rocks with helicopter gunships, with tanks and with missiles.
to this?
Heaps of them wouldn't have a clue, wouldn't be able to find the Jordan on a map.
I wish someone could ask Anthony Albanese what it is about the old him, the guy who rallied over Palestine, that was so dumb and naive and stupid, now warrants taking to the radio to utter basic bitch boomerisms about him. Like, what did young Albanese do to warrant such scorn? That old young guy who gave a fuck. Was he just a geographically ignorant idiot, was he? I mean, would Anthony have cared if the old him got beaten up by fucking random fascist vigilantes? No one even cared about that? And then he got dragged away by paramilitarised cops just for peacefully rallying? Agree with me or not about the framing, but if there is a climate of ambient fascism going on in this country owing to this Israel-Palestine situation in part, then put the blame for it squarely on this guy's jellyfish back. And go and attend this amazing National Day of Action at the ports. Actions all are in the major cities. I'm really pumped on it. It's a good look. Albo'S arse is going to be fucking glowing incandescent red this weekend, I can tell you. It will be shining red over Capitol Hill in Canberra like a shepherd's delight.